of think my opinion on it is that we need to just we need to kind of move on from Hazard. We had him, we had his best years, we saw his magic at the club, we saw what he brought to Chelsea. Hello there guys, Matt here from SW6 Lions TV. I hope you are all well this afternoon and welcome back to another episode of Matt Talks Chelsea. Today we'll be just doing an episode with myself and I'll be talking about certain topics. We'll be talking about Ben Chilwell and his place back in the starting 11. Timo Werner back on the score sheet for club and country, and we'll touch in a little bit in this big debate about Eden Hazard as well. And then we'll give across my season prediction thoughts. We thought we'd do an episode where it's just me this week to give my opinions and my thoughts, considering I'm always the one asking the questions. So it gets you guys an opportunity to sort of get to know my thoughts about things a little bit more. And yeah, just give a bit of insight into us on the channel. So up first then, we'll be talking about Ben Chilwell. Now, he's definitely our strongest left wing back option in the back three with two wing backs Tuchel likes to play. I think Ben Chilwell is a better suited option than Marcos Alonso. Form this season doesn't say that, to be honest, considering Alonso's been the one playing, he's been the one putting in the good performances, and he's actually probably been the better performing one out of the two of them so far. But Ben Chilwell hasn't been playing, so he hasn't been getting that chance to prove himself and prove why he should be playing. Obviously, he had a tough time at the Euros when he went with England, didn't get a minute, and then obviously had to isolate, so then didn't get involved at all. And then came back late because he was with the England squad, and by that point, Alonso had already had about 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a bit longer, of pre-season training already. So he already had a bit of match fitness behind him. Tuchel had already worked with him for a bit of pre-season and felt he was the one to go with in the first few games of the season. And Marcos Alonso, to be fair to him, didn't put in that bad performances. I thought he was actually pretty solid to start with. But in recent games, he's kind of sort of dipped off a little bit, which has given Ben Chilwell his chance to get back into the squad. And I think it's the right choice. I think in the long term, I think he's definitely the better option out of the two. He scored in his last 2 starts for club and country. Scored against Southampton with a brilliant finish. Scored for England as well. Did give away a penalty, yes, which was just a moment of lapse of concentration. But I think still, regardless, I think he's still the better option out of the two. I think he's much more versatile, much more exciting than Marcos Alonso. He's obviously a bit of a slower player. And I think he's just the stronger option out of the two. I think a lot of fans are happy to see Ben Chilwell back in there. And yeah, so I think it's positive for him, positive for the squad. I think he does make our team stronger when he's playing. I think he offers more defensively than Alonso does. And attacking, it's kind of up for debate who offers more. I think Alonso's got a better strike of a ball than Ben Chilwell, and Alonso, obviously we know what his set piece delivery, he can whip a free kick in, and we know that. But I think if you're looking at what you want a left wing back to do, I think Ben Chilwell, yes, he is the better option. He's better defensively, stronger, and yeah, I think he's just the better option to go out of the two. And I think yeah, it's good to see him back. I'm personally happy he's back in the squad. Obviously, it would have been a lot of money to spend for him just to play for a season. So I'm glad Tuchel's got his faith back in him. And to be honest, I expect him to be in the team now for a run of games. I think he'll start against Brentford at the weekend. I'll be surprised if he didn't after his performance against Southampton. And yeah, I think he's just the better option to go with. So I'm glad to see him back in there. Obviously, let us know your thoughts down below or wherever you want to do that. But yeah, feel free to let us know your thoughts. We're going to talk a little bit, not too much, but we're going to talk a little bit about Timo Werner. Now, obviously, I've expressed my feelings on Timo Werner on the channel before. I know me and Ben disagree massively on this subject. But look, goal against Southampton, should have had 2, played really well. Scored 2 for Germany last night, and the second one was actually a brilliant finish, to be fair to him. I think he's starting to get a little bit of confidence, which is all he needed, in my opinion, is just confidence. I think he went through such a long goal drought where people were on his back. People were saying, oh, Timo Werner this, Timo Werner that. It's amazing what confidence does for a player. 2 goals for Germany, a goal against Southampton. It seems as though Hansi Flick has had some sort of an impact on him. Thomas Tuchel's obviously had an impact on him because I think he's been a better player under Tuchel than he was against under Lampard. But I think it's looking good at the moment. I think all Timo Werner now needs is a run of games where he scores 3, 4, 5 games in a row, or assists in a game and then scores the game after, or keeps getting an involvement with a goal. I think that would do him the world of good. I think I can just see it. Werner and Lukaku up top working really, really well. I just think they need to play consistently, get like game after game with each other for that to blossom, and for us to actually see the best of that partnership up top. But yeah, it's positive signs with Timo Werner. Like I say, he seems to have got a bit of confidence behind him. Brilliant finish for Germany last night, the second goal he scored. And just in general, I think there's a bit of, he's got an air about him, an air of sort of confidence the way he's playing. So let's hope it continues for the good of the team, because I do think Timo Werner's still got a lot to show in a Chelsea shirt. I do think he is still, it's a laughable comment to some, but I still think Timo Werner's still one of the most dangerous attackers in world football. If he could put the ball in the back of the net, I think then he's almost got it all in a sense. He's got the sharpness, the pace, the movement, the way he creates the space, drags defenders away from players and makes space in and around the area. I think if he can just start putting the ball in the back of the net consistently, I think we've got a very good striker on our hands. I think we need to move away from the fact that he's not going to be a 25, 30 goal a season man, because he's not. But what he does bring to the team, I've said it before, no one else in that squad brings what Timo Werner brings. And I just think once he gets a bit of confidence, once he carries this on, I think he's going to be a very dangerous player, and he's going to be a nightmare for opposition defenders. And the space that he'll be able to create for Lukaku would be ridiculous. But Lukaku's just got to start moving off the ball and actually making runs in behind. But yeah, not too in depth about Werner. But yeah, it's good to see him confidence back. Good to see him scoring goals. So moving on from one attacking winger to another. There's been a lot of talk about this on Twitter for the last couple of days. Chelsea linked with a move for Eden Hazard, and I don't quite know how I feel about it. First of all, I don't want anyone to get it twisted. Eden Hazard, on his day, unplayable, one of the best in the world on his day, but on his day, one of the best in the world. When he was at Chelsea, that last season he had at Chelsea, untouchable. He was ridiculous. But my thought is, I wouldn't turn down the option to have him back at Chelsea. I would love to have Hazard back at Chelsea. I just think it wouldn't make sense. And I said this on Twitter yesterday. And again, me and Ben disagree on this massively. He would take Hazard back. It says that Hazard would walk into our starting 11, which I think is up for debate right now. But I don't think the move would make sense, because all we're doing is bringing back a player who's going to be on massive wages, and a player that we've already had the best years out of. Like, I just think all he's going to risk is tarnishing his reputation that he's got at Chelsea, because if he comes back and doesn't perform to the heights that everyone expects him to, I think it's going to sort of tarnish the reputation he has and tarnish the kind of player he has been at Chelsea. And I kind of think, my opinion on it is that we need to just, we need to kind of move on from Hazard. We had him, we had his best years, we saw his magic at the club, we saw what he brought to Chelsea, helped win us Premier League titles, FA Cup, I think Europa League he helped us win as well. I think we kind of need to move on from this Hazard thing. Because you look at someone like, I know it's a kind of different situation, but you look at someone like Diego Costa. He was quality when he was at Chelsea, but you wouldn't bring Costa back. And just players like that. Like, I think you need to just enjoy the fact we've had them at our club, enjoy the fact they've played, but kind of move on. I think if you're going to go and spend this money on Hazard, wouldn't you go and buy a young winger who we could get years out of, like we did with Hazard? We got wingers in world football. You got wingers like Chiesa at Juventus, who probably has got potential to live up to the heights that Hazard did. I personally think Saint-Maximin at Newcastle, obviously with them getting their takeover, it's going to be interesting what happens with him. But a player like Saint-Maximin, I think he has got potential to get up to the sort of similar heights that Hazard did as well. Wouldn't you go out and buy a far younger winger that can have a good few years ahead of him? I'm not sure if the move makes much sense in my head. I know a lot of Chelsea fans would have Hazard back within a heartbeat, but we also look at someone like Christian Pulisic. I think Christian Pulisic on his day is incredibly dangerous and an incredibly dangerous winger to play against. But he's too injury prone. And Eden Hazard is also very injury prone. So I think we'd also be risking almost having two Pulisic's on our hands, where we've got two wingers that can be incredibly dangerous when they're playing well, but they get far too injured all the time. And Eden Hazard is not the same player he was when we sold him. He's not that player anymore. And obviously, yes, no one knows whether he comes back to Chelsea and gets back to the player he was. No one knows that until it was to actually happen. But my viewpoint on it is, I love Eden Hazard, one of my favourite players that I've ever watched in the Chelsea shirt. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying I don't like him. I'm not saying I wouldn't take him back, because I would. I just don't think it makes much sense for Chelsea Football Club to bring Hazard back when there is the players on the market like Chiesa, like Saint-Maximin. But we've also got players at our club, Pulisic, who, again, is so young still. And like I say, can be dangerous. He just gets injured too often. So I think the logical side of things, I would say no to Hazard. The nostalgia side, yes, of course, every Chelsea fan would take Hazard back for the nostalgia side. But I think for what we've seen at him at Real Madrid, does he warrant being able to come back into Chelsea and start? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I don't know whether he's shown enough at Real Madrid for me to think he would walk into the team that's the current champions of Europe. And that's just my opinion on it. I don't know whether he would have whether he would perform differently because of Lukaku, whether he would link up with Lukaku well or not. But look, it's one of those situations where until it happens, you're never going to know how it's going to turn out. But for me personally, I would always want to watch Hazard in a Chelsea shirt. I was gutted when he left. It sort of took a part of me away, and I was truly gutted when Eden Hazard left. But so just then, to finish off my season prediction. So I always end my Matt Talks Chelsea episodes with asking my guest for a season prediction. I'm almost going to ask myself what I feel is going to happen for Chelsea this season, what I think we're going to achieve. So what do I think Chelsea are going to achieve this year? Look, the Premier League title is not out of reach. Let's be honest. It is very, very doable. It's just whether Chelsea can find the consistency to be able to keep this up for the entire season. Yes, we're sitting top, and we're currently sat top of the league, a point clear after playing 5 of the top 6. So we've played Arsenal, Spurs, Liverpool away, Manchester City at home. Sorry, we've played 4 of the top 6. It's looking very, very, very strong. obviously, when we come back, we've got a trip to Brentford. Now, when Chelsea return from international breaks, we always seem to struggle the first game back. And Anthony Taylor, he's refereeing on Saturday. So you might as well give Brentford a 1-0 lead, really. And we might as well only field 10 players. Look, it's so frustrating, but it's something you just got to put up with. And to be honest, like, all jokes aside, with Anthony Taylor, Chelsea should still be good enough to beat Brentford. Dodgy referee or not, we should still have enough quality to beat Brentford. But Brentford are flying at the minute. It's always going to be a tough game going to a newly promoted side anyway, unless you're Norwich, obviously. But look, it will show. I think these next bunch of games will show, because we've got Brentford, we've got Norwich, we've got Burnley, and then we've got like Malmo, Southampton in the cup. So we've got very, very, very winnable games. So it should sort of give us more of an idea after this set of games whether we're going to challenge or not. Because if you can't, it's all well and good getting results against Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal, but that's irrelevant if you can't get results against Norwich, Burnley, Brentford in the league. You're not going to win titles if you can't get results against the bottom half teams. So these next set of games will really show us where we are at as a club. But look, the Premier League title isn't out of reach. Do I think we're going to win it? No, I don't. I think we're going to come close. I think we're going to be in the top 3 between City, Liverpool and us. And I think it's going to be very, very close. But no, I don't think we're going to win the Premier League. Similar with the Champions League. Again, it's not out of reach because we've done it once. We can do it again. But I don't know if we'll win it. I don't think we will. Again, I think we'll come close. I think we'll get semi-final minimum. Might get to the final. I'm not so sure we're going to win it though. But I would like to see us pick up a cup, FA Cup. I'd like to see us win the Carabao Cup, but the reason I would like to see that is because it kind of sets you up nicely. The final being in March, you win a trophy, and you've won a trophy with the start of March just gone. So you've got the entire of March, April and May to play, and you've just won a trophy. It gives you that confidence. It gives you that boost for the remainder of the season. But obviously, it's Guardiola's trophy, and we've got to try and take it off them. But yeah, it would be nice to win an FA Cup, nice to win a Carabao Cup. Obviously, a club like Chelsea, us fans, we want to see us win everything. But I think, realistically, for me, I think we're going to get top 3 in the Premier League, maybe semi-final or final of the Champions League. And I'd like to see us win an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup. I think that would be an acceptable season. I don't think that means Tuchel loses his job if he doesn't win those trophies. But I think if we don't win the League or Champions League this year, he'll need to win one next year. Otherwise, people will start questioning him as fans. Because you can't win the Champions League 6 months after getting the job and then not win a big trophy again for 2 or 3 years. So I don't think we're going to win the Premier League or Champions League this year, but I do think we're going to come close to both. But I think we will win the Premier League within the next couple of seasons. But that's just my thoughts. Again, let us know your thoughts, what you think is going to happen with this season down below. And that concludes the video. So thanks for watching, guys. Please make sure you like, subscribe, turn the bell notification on so you get notified whenever we upload a new video. We might be doing a Brentford preview this week. I'm not too sure. I need to speak to Ben about that one. But yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, TikTok as well, SW6 Lions TV on TikTok, where we put up the clips of our videos and the funny moments. So yes, all of the socials, SW6 Lions TV. I hope you've all had a good day, and I hope you all have a good evening. And don't forget, up the Chels.